All of you are by better so like a comment and subscribe to the channel now. You go so free education, ne impact Ghanaians. And whom some neighbor said the banana Dr. Adutwum, young former Minister of Education. Uko pay one constituency and send be a order to job or chase. No, a very emotional part because Uko do visit some schools around no. Letters be pound school students for no with his traces for no. It's me a trauma na just even all casa plan here, why emotion be share. And some man will let anyone which I nay in summer emu ye day pie, no, and I'm a minister in any idea, ye an interview or live TV or this I need this to Jana, or shall no TV in a educational and also a general scracker, why there, although no some ministers are back, but also I can't remember TV name. Free education with major now so now washer was an insemin to jail or cheshire. Osha Sifa, create one mono, what bread or school come easy, say will be free, a village, typical village, now or co school or backway teachers. Now be any grade no, according to 22, or so be a city moon, Albania, any every resources at Manaco school. And at the end of the day, no, maybe a wetman and trophy and 10. Sango from say walk senior high school, say a blender one, I be a disadel. No one in alcohol. As I go from me, when you uncle the same school for 3 years and don't say difference home, don't say one impact and very different. Now, Papa didn't say that to Janay Beko, a Kutiaba.
Pay Obu Abuja, I'm a crum, and as I appear crum, Obisu war, Chesabre Pro, Farmine, South for no way you crunk to room. Obey JHS, no one yet grade ABR 22. Obi so bantima, Obi ewo just chrome a chimota, Obi ewo crack a siakisim. South for no subvieno, now when yet grade ABR 12. Then Obi no crooked woman. Young man a chance, no one also at this other college no Kobe. Prempen won't Kobe. Or the 22 na kwai we so the 12 na kwai but when you go school 3 years na wie no na do the 22 buy no obe better because biaya otena sua de OJHS no wanya the environment a conducive and supporting no it is half one of bad schools akese na boa now and this in so say school akese na yenyi fees na na Dr. Adutwum why emotional after a year of free exchange bi attitude yentie mu nsem na chewa be conversation for mama
viewing and listening audience, and I don't know why you invited me on Valentine's Day of all this in the whole year. This is the day you invited me,
and it's good you have the red tie on too.
I always do the red. So I just want to first of all thank God for giving me the opportunity to serve my nation.
Okay.
8 years at the Ministry of Education, and also to thank the former president Nana Addo Akufo-Addo for inviting me to be part of his government. It was a great opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to serve my nation. About 3 days ago, I went to a school in my constituency. The moment I went there, they told me that morning, our students were asked to write who has inspired a story of who has inspired them.
Okay.
There's a student by name. His first name is also very unique, called Daiwell.
Okay. Wow.
Daiwell had written that the person who inspires him the most is Dr. Adutwum.
Oh, okay.
Little did she know that I was going to show up at the school. So when I was there, I said, yeah, Daiwell was writing about you.
That's a beautiful coincidence.
Yeah, beautiful coincidence. They showed me what she had written.
Okay.
And it really touched me to know that a child that you don't know will just feel like you have inspired me to be a great individual. And one day I want to be like you. This is what I take away from my work at the ministry, that there are children across the country who feels inspired like Daiwell. And there are others around the country who have grown up at places with less means and see my story of how I grew up and became who I had become, to feel inspired that one day they can even do more than what Dr. Iddrisu has done. So when I look back at those moments where you are making an impact on the lives of many people. Many people see hope through your story. And that to me is the most significant thing, apart from all the other things that we may have done. The bottom line is that somebody like that, feels that you have inspired me. And that to me is the most important thing.
Okay. So, I mean, yes, a lot of people, I'm sure, are inspired like Dario. But looking back, what would you say were your achievements as a Minister of Education? When you came in, we all heard what you said. You wanted to make education, I mean, the way you had seen it in the America. I mean, you had run a school there, and you thought that education could be made more practical than it is. What would you say were your biggest achievement as a minister?
I would say that when I became Minister for Education, I was invited by Harvard University. They have a program that guides and mentors education ministers. And the first workshop, they asked all of us to create what's called a legacy statement. My legacy statement was to make Ghana the best nation in STEM education, one of the best in the world in STEM education. And when I reflect upon the legacy statement that I shared with the University of Harvard and see that we're able to do it. You see, STEM has always been something that you hear presidents talked about, the 60-40, famous 60-40 ratio of 60% of students at the tertiary in the STEM-related fields and 40% in the humanities. And unfortunately, it had been, for the most part, lip service. Because I don't seem to understand how you have about 14% of your students in the high school enrolled in science. But when they get to the university, you expect 60% of them to become science-related students. I mean, it was just a talk. So we had to begin to take a look at what is going on around the world. And of course, I always say I'm one of the luckiest education ministers in the world, having taught in the classroom, got an opportunity to develop schools in America, that kind of experience, and doing a PhD in education policy and administration. So what I, through under the leadership of the president, looked at was STEM education, the key to the future of Ghana's transformation. Not just an education, but we are talking about how does education change the fortunes of your country. So if your sense of urgency is the transformation of Ghana, and you happen to be the education minister, you are looking at what are the gaps. Because in education, you have to look at access, you have to look at the quality of the education system, and then look at the relevance of the education system. When the education system is not relevant to the socio-economic transformation of your country, it's education to nowhere. All the students can pass the exams and people jubilate that their children have passed the exam. But if you happen to be the education minister, you are concerned about, am I producing the people that can really champion transformation of Ghana? So that is what led us to STEM education. The emphasis on STEM was to make sure that in this 21st century, in this fourth industrial revolution, are we going to create a competitive economy? Are we really going to change the fortunes of Ghana? So when you hear STEM education, it's not just children coming to school. When you see them doing robotics, you see them flying drones, you see them doing things that we've never done before. It's creating the next generation workforce in the 21st century, in the fourth industrial revolution, who will lead the transformation of Ghana. And that was what my focus on about. If you look at Vietnam is making great strides in industrialization.
Okay.
Now, Vietnam has 93 million population. They produce 100,000 engineers every year. Now, Vietnam is the toast of East Asia. Every industrial giants are flocking to Vietnam. In fact, the last time I checked, Samsung has its largest manufacturing plant anywhere in the world, in Vietnam.
Okay.
Now, Ghana, with over 30 million population, in a very good year has 7,000 engineers graduating. If you look ratio and proportion, we should be doing over 30,000
engineers.
Yes, because engineering have so many fields. Software.